Hello guys, how are you? This is the build of the 148 Eduard Shachak. I think it's pronounced this way, I don't know, from Eduard. I love Mirage fighters, and these IAF Israeli fighters are truly exotic, beautiful paint scheme, and I couldn't resist getting this one and starting this one. Turns out this was a lesson even better and bigger than I thought. As you can see, the kit brings resin, a fantastic instruction booklet, PE set, cockpit, fantastic detail, set of masks. I didn't use the resin engine intake because it wasn't part of the version I wanted to depict. Even so, all those extras, well, they're Eduard. You know, they are fantastic. So I kind of enjoyed this build, but you will see more ahead what I went through on this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. And above all, I hope you are safe, okay? These are some of the paints I am going to need. They are mission models paints, and these paints were fantastic. You will see in the end they were spot on. So these are some of the paints. And we start on the usual place, the cockpit, pilot seat, painting it and detailing it with the PE set. Here I am scraping the detail on the styrene, on the plastic, just to make sure that the PE set glues well and has very good contact with the surface.
Concrete, so bittersweet. Keep losing sleep while driving in the backseat. What's left of me? Drowning in what feels just like an ocean. Negativity is getting closer. Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder. You know, sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when
And we start by painting the cockpit black on MMP 047 black.
Hard to keep the heat when it gets colder, you know. Sometimes everything just gets hard. Sometimes everything just gets harder. Feeling like I'm missing some parts. Days just keep on getting much darker. Even when I'm down in the lower, I remember what you were saying. Sometimes all you need is a spark, and maybe just a better kind of bitter. Bitter, 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 bitter.
As you can see, it's Edward. What can I say? It's a beautiful detail, photo edge detail fret. And here, as you can see, the photo edge fits perfectly. This cockpit was one of the most detailed and beautiful I have ever worked on. I really love this Edward photo edge set. The cockpit was not the problem. By far, it was perfect. And the cockpit fitted perfectly, but now when I joined the two halves of the fuselage, they don't have any fit points to attach to one another, you know, the protuberance and the drill, and you fix them together. You just have to slide it while the glue is gluing, is dissolving the plastic. It's kind of frustrating because you just don't know if the pieces are stable. They can, when you are gluing it, it can just drop a bit, and then you have to sand a gap, a huge gap. So you have to make sure that the pieces are well aligned. And here I just sanded that seam line on the top, and I am rescribing all the panel lines I lost. fantastic detail. On this, Edward doesn't, I mean, it's fantastic.
Never could have been thinking I would know what the future bring. All the highs and lows. Said I'm gonna win, though the world might spin. Now I'm sitting here like I'm no one. It rains down on me. All the phone calls I'm ignoring. See, I'm a mess, just trying to guess my way through this. Just don't get enough of me. 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 Just don't get enough of me.
And now, as you can see, here I am inspecting the kit, and watch it with me. Now I have this gap here, okay, the seam line. Okay, this one we have to make it better. I didn't sand it enough. Okay, no problem. Then we have this thing that man fought inside it between 1914 and 1918, this trench here, which, okay. And then, look at this. This is madness. I couldn't believe what I... See for yourself, okay? Now, this is a problem we have to attend to. And so for this, we're going to use some strip styrene to cover these gaps. And for the first time, Tamiya epoxy putty. I bought this 5 or 6 years ago when I was building a tiger. Frustrating attempt to build a tiger. And I had to use this. What you do is you mix the white and the brown putty, mix it all well together, and then on top of a plastic card, using another plastic card moistened in water, as you can see here, you roll it until you make a kind of a spaghetti, a noodle, okay, and then you apply it with a wet, moistened, not wet, toothpick on the gap that you are trying to cover here, as you can see. Then I waited a whole day because at this point I was pretty depressed. A kit like this, I really wanted to build a Mirage, but going through this when all I wanted was an easy build, well, one of these days I will have an easy build, I think. But you have to let this dry pretty much stone and then proceed to sand it. Well, as you can see, after a lot of work by sanding and using putty again on more ahead, I think I spent 2 or 3 days back when I was building this one. And if by one side I was going excited because, well, I'm dealing with this problem, on the other hand I was feeling tired because all I wanted was to build something, to paint it, but going through this. But the mirage is a mirage, and as you can see, that this Israeli mirage was very exotic, very beautiful, and I wanted to keep going with this one. Too many seam lines, right? Yeah. This is old mold Edward. This is not the new. New are the resins and the masks and the photo etch set. And then these flaps and ailerons, they just wouldn't fit right. They just wouldn't. And that pisses me off. After all this work, when I think, okay, now it's all ahead, you just stop and you have to adapt and sand and all these flaps just to make them parallel to each other. we are marbling the bottom side of the Mirage with the MMP 051 or RAL 76. Now we're going to use MMP 036 SANDGREY to paint the cream color of the Mirage. And this is, or was, one of the things I loved about these paints. You see, it was a time that I said, and I'm sorry about the language, oh, screw this. I don't want to sand anymore and cover these seam lines anymore. I'm building this only for me, for myself. So on the wing roots, there was this light, very light gap. And I said to myself, yeah, I should, but I'm not going. I don't want to put this to competition or anything. As you know, I don't do that, only when I asked, and you know. But I used a bit of polyurethane on these paints. And what happened was that the paint just covered itself, that light seam line. And that made me at least happy with the result. The paints made my work complete, you know? That little seam line that was there, when I finished painting, it wasn't. can see, the paint's covered all the seam line and the work is very, very soft. Now I'm applying a clear coat. As you can see here, I don't have the canopy, so I had to protect underneath the front canopy with masking tape, but I'm applying a clear coat to protect and prepare for decals. The decals were very good, very easy to apply, very forgiving. They weren't too thin or too thick. With a bit of Tamiya solution, decal solution, they went perfect. I really enjoyed to apply the decals on this one. And well, here I was a bit more relaxed. I tried not to weather this bird in too much, but to give it that worn desert look on the flaps, a bit of hydraulic fluid that goes to the ailerons. I tried to see images of this 177, and I do believe I managed to recreate it in an acceptable way at least. Now a black pin wash by Modelarski Świat. These washes called Modeler's World. The pigment is very thin, and so with a clear coat on, it flows very well. The capillary effect is amazing between the panel lines. So I really like these washes. And here was a good opportunity to use the chrome set of mission models, paints, chrome in this case. I had to cover this seam line again, another seam line, and then sand it very well. Applied a glossy black from mission models and then the chrome. I was surprised with the chrome. The chrome was awesome, very good indeed. I'm not even advertising, I really enjoyed it. If I didn't like it, I would tell you right away. The chrome was very good, and I think I managed to get a very good, acceptable chrome like. And these photo edge detail winglets for the fuel tanks, fantastic.
As I walked out the door, but all we heard was dead, and I wondered what for. Oh, it's a tricky situation, it's a terrible fall. You better use your imagination when your head's against the wall. What if we had just one more day? What else to fight to make me stay? Slowly repeat, we were bound to fail. What does it matter on a white skin? What does it matter on a white skin? What does it matter on a white skin? What does it matter on a white skin?
And after all this and some small details, I gave a matte Mission Models matte coat, an MMA 004, and placed the canopy, some small details, the fuel tanks, and finished this one. It's a love and hate relationship with this kit, you know. It was terrible, but at the same time, looking at it now, well, I really like it. And I hope you enjoy this video also, guys. Keep modeling, okay? Keep modeling. Always, always with a smile. In these days, more than ever, we have to smile, guys. Please be safe. Cheers.